Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder it's time to have a look at another Devblog. This is the MiG-19S, which is going to be the top tier German supersonic jet that is coming in update 1.87. But before we get started into this, I do want to just remind everyone that there is a nice little deal going on in War Thunder right now. It's called the Thunder Stream Pack, and there will be a link in the description for it. But basically it's just a little pack. You get 300 GE, a title, and also this decal of the first seal, and I just think basically it's there, so if you either watch the War Thunder streams or have access to it, you can just pick it up, and it's just a way to get a nice decal, because it's $1.99 US, so you can either use Gaijin coins or anything else to buy it, and overall I just think it's a nice little thing. You can either buy it as a gift for somebody, maybe you're starting out, or just for yourself, so you can have the decal. So this is what it looks like in game. You can see it here on my Lancaster Mark III, and it's very high fidelity, and I like the idea of how they're doing these packs, and it would be nice to kind of support them, just to see them spread out and do more of these smaller packs so people can enjoy them. Check it out. You get a title, a decal, and also some 300 Golden Eagles. Now, let's get into the MiG-19S. The MiG-19S is one of the versions of the MiG which the East Germans used. There were actually two versions that the Germans mainly used, and one of the issues with it is that it doesn't get access to air-to-air missiles, and the other version of the MiG-19, which actually is the MiG-19 PM, which you can see right here, unfortunately they went completely the opposite way, where they got rid of the main armament and only put air-to-air missiles on it. So unfortunately, if you were going to give a MiG-19 to the Germans, which I think was generally what people believed was going to happen, you either had to go one way or the other. There was no mix with the MiG-19's armaments. When we look at the MiG-19 in-game, the one that the Soviets have right now, what is nice about it is that it has a mixture of the guns, the two NR-30s, which we see in the wing roots here, and you also have the option of taking the R3Ss, whereas this machine does not have that option. So there is no air-to-air missile components to this machine. Instead, what you get is an extra 30mm gun, which you can find under the fuselage or under the cockpit right here, as you can see. So overall, this is just a more heavily armed main armament MiG-19PT, which is also slightly faster because it is slightly lighter. From all of my look-ins and also the Devblog as well, how they've actually talked about it, is how this machine is going to be slightly lighter, it's going to be slightly faster, and therefore acceleration is going to be, in my opinion, a large deal. As we know about the MiG-19PT in game compared to the F-100, the place where the PT is able to able to get an advantage over the F-100 is its acceleration. So now you're putting another version of the MiG in game for the Germans, which should have slightly more acceleration than the PT because of its reduced weight. Now, it also should have a higher max speed, so you are basically trading some speed for the air-to-air missile idea. Now, depending on how useful in your head or in your mind the air-to-air missiles are, then it really could be the new top-tier fighter, for out of the nations. I've seen a lot of mixed messages about the air-to-air missiles. Generally, the way I see them, and have from the start, is they are a way of setting up a kill. They are not really a way to get a kill. And even the Javelin right now is struggling with its targeting of its air-to-air missiles, but just going back to the two main supersonics, or the two main players, I should say, since the Javelin isn't supersonic, the MiG-19PT and the F-100, I have hardly seen any missile kills apart from against people who were not really paying attention. And that's fair enough, but what it does is it makes them break, it makes them turn, it makes them lose energy, and that is where you are able to try and catch them. Now, with this MiG-19S, you won't be able to do that. You do have secondary armaments of 250 kilo bombs, and also 4 sets of unguided rocket pods, which, as you can see, are huge. Well, they're not huge. Let's see, what are they? 7? It looks like, or 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8 in a pack, it looks like, so 8, 16, 32. And with this, it means that you won't be able to set up that idea. You won't be able to set up the kills with the air-to-airs, but you will have the speed just to go after them. And another thing, depending on what range you actually work out which MiG-19 is, it may not make that much of a difference. As you know in game, if you are close to a Spitfire, it will say it is a Spitfire, but if you are right next to it, it will tell you what version of Spitfire it is. Now, with the MiG-19, if it's the same, then it will just say MiG-19 until you get really close, and you can work out if it's a PT or an S. So the majority of the time, you may be in situations where you are not sure what you are fighting, and therefore have to worry about the air-to-air missile threat, while this thing, with its reduced weight, is catching up on you faster. Now, yes, it will mean that there will be a lot of situations where you will have pilots who will just run away from you because they know that you don't have the air-to-air component, but if they're using air-to-airs themselves, you should be faster than them. You should be able to keep up with them. Remember that every secondary armament that you have does add extra weight to your airframe, and therefore reduces acceleration and reduces top speed. And with this machine, if you don't have any secondary armaments mounted, therefore you aren't going to lose any extra speed. Another thing to also think about is a lot of people have been talking how this thing is may not be as fast, or maybe slightly faster than the PT. As you can see, the MiG-19S is 1,450, whereas this is nearly 1,400. It's about 50 kilometers an hour difference. Generally, that isn't too much if we take it as a percentage or as a ratio, but it is still 50 kilometers an hour. It still means at the end of the day, if you are in those situations where you are hunting a Soviet machine, you should be able to catch it. And with that extra 30mm, you will do a lot of damage. When we talk about ammunition, this is also something to worry about. One of the things, or one of the issues in my opinion with the PT, is with its 2 guns, it only has 140 rounds of ammunition, and you can see them how it's belt fed all the way down the wing. 140 rounds of ammunition is not a lot of ammunition, and if we go by the same logic, this will have 210 rounds of ammunition, and that will be it. And since it is fast firing, for me it will feel very much like something like the MiG-334, where you do not have a lot of ammo in the machine, but you have a lot of killing power in short bursts. If you don't know what the MiG-334 is, it's a 2.3 Soviet aircraft, and it has 200 rounds in its 2 Shivaks. Now, a lot of people complained when this was out that this was not enough ammunition to be able to do well. That is not the case. It is enough ammunition to do incredibly well. The issue is you have to be incredibly accurate and fire in short bursts. Now, by the time you are at higher ranks, such as top tier, I believe you should be able to make those decisions, even though at jets it is probably the hardest to aim. When it comes to it, just because of the blindside shots that sometimes you have to take. So that is something to take into account. My question is, would it have been better to go for the other model? Would it have been better to go for the PM model instead of going for this MiG-19S? And I think yes. I think no. It would have been worse to go for the PM model, because even though you would have much more of the same performance, not having a main armament on an aircraft has been shown to be debilitating in the past. It's mainly happened to bombers, you know, the B-5N2, the Canberra, and even the Vautour, and it's been seen negatively as for the community. So I think if you add in a top-tier supersonic German jet, which is going to be the first one of its kind, a lot of people would be annoyed at it, because they would see it as you go up in the air, you fire your 4 missiles, then you go down and you land again. So I think out of the two decisions that they had to make, this one is definitely the way to go. And hopefully, all I can say is it will be interesting to see what plays what at top tier. Generally, you do get this mixed battles idea, especially from supersonic jets, and hopefully now that we have the German one sorted, because that was one of the big conversations a lot of people were having and discussions. You know, a lot of people brought up the Starfighter, which would be insanely broken right now if it was just put into the game with the F-100 and the MiG-19. So therefore, now that the German one is sorted, maybe we can have a look at other nations. The French have some wonderful Mach 1 aircraft. The Mystères always come to mind. The Italians, I believe you have the G91Y. I think it might be just Mach 1 capable. If not, it still would be a very fun vehicle to use at top tier. And then, of course, we have the Japanese Mitsubishi F1, which we would have to do a little bit of tinkering with to make sure it would be in the game viable, but it could still make it. I do think when I look at this machine, when it comes to secondary armaments, I don't think they'll ever really be used. I know the idea is with the secondaries that they're going to be used a lot. I don't see it. The problem with secondaries at top tier is, first of all, you are dealing with a lot of aircraft which are supposed to be used in ground battles with these rockets and with these bombs, and at the same time you have radar-guided AA mashing the sky. The only time, in my opinion, they'll be useful is if you want to try and spade out your vehicle to be at those max speeds that it talks about once you get all of the fully modified modifications, and then you can kind of drop the secondaries and move on with your life. I don't see this as any real ground attacker. Then again, they have said in Q&As in the past that they are looking to redo the radar system in a more precise way, so that may change how it affects machines like the MiG-19, and maybe they become a little bit more accessible and a little bit more not accessible, but there would be a reason to take them over either their helicopter counterparts or other machines which are better in the ground attack role. Something that is still missing, though, from top tier is AGMs. AGMs are something which is exclusive right now to the American tree with the F-100D and also the Gift FJ4B. If we have a look in the tree, it is this machine here. And what this means is America still only has access to a mechanic which no other nation does. And I understand that a lot of people may not like the mechanic, or they may not see it as very good. My opinion of it is we need to have a balance of mechanics across the nation. So to see the MiG-19S is wonderful. It is great to see it because it means that another nation has access to a supersonic vehicle, but at the end of the day, we're still struggling with other mechanics at top tier, and hopefully they get added sooner rather than later. I think this is a good pick for the Germans, and hopefully it does well in the air, and it will mean that we'll have more of a 10-0 BR instead of just two 10-0s trying to mash everything. And hopefully for other nations now, we'll see some other stuff. I'm very happy to see this, I think is the best way to say it. This is the pick, compared to the other two options, which would have not been as good, such as the PM and the Starfighter. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.